Welcome to the Liberty Podcast with Clint Armitage. We are proclaiming liberty one show at a time, and the next one starts right now. Our soldiers died for your freedom. God gave us all rights and never leave them. It's time to step up for your freedom. So rally up now, this is America. Our soldiers died for your freedom. God gave us all rights and never leave them. Now it's time to step up for your freedom. So rally up, this is America. Welcome back. All right, I'm Clint Armitage, your host for the Liberty Podcast, and today's podcast is a fun one, and it's entitled 3 Christmas Nuggets and a Minty Hook. All right, so basically we're going to be talking about 4 different things, 3 Christmas Nuggets and a Minty Hook. So 4 things, and what this is a Christmas-related podcast to see if you have some Christmas knowledge. Now, I'm pretty schooled on Christmas, I thought, but then out of these 4 things, I only knew like 1.5, 2 of these things. So it's actually pretty interesting. So I'm going to break down, there's 2 articles that I looked up, written by 2 different people. And one writes about 3 different things, the 3 nuggets, and then one writes about the Minty Hook. So let's go ahead and jump right into this. So the first article is by Eric Torrance. He's the transformation pastor at Chase Oak Church in Plano, Texas. Now, he wrote a blog post on the Chase Oak Church website, and I think it's chaseoak.org or something like that. Just go ahead and check out the full article there, the full blog post there. And it's entitled 3 Common Questions About Christmas. So he wrote the 3 nuggets that I'm talking about here today. The first nugget is, why is Christmas on December 25th? You ever think about that? And he writes, I'm going to read some of the article, some of the excerpts here. Okay, he says, before we get into that question, we need to ask whether or not Jesus was actually born on December 25th. And the quick answer is, we don't know. He could have been, but the Bible doesn't mention the date of his birth or even the time of year. So he says, some have speculated that Jesus may have been born in the spring because the shepherds in the story who were watching the flocks were doing it at night. And the winter nights in Judea are pretty cold, so it's not an ideal time to, be outside with sheep. But there's also evidence that there were lambs kept in the fields during the winter time for the temple sacrifices. So again, we don't know. And so why is Christmas celebrated on December 5th? The date isn't arbitrary, he says. And this is the cool nugget right here, man. I didn't know this. I knew the second part of this, but I didn't know this part. It's really cool. Okay, so here goes. Every Christian leader, or early Christian leaders, chose March 25th to commemorate the angel Gabriel's visitation to Mary. So if you do the math, December 25th is 9 months from the divine conception to his birth. That's where they got December 25th. Oh, cool. Yeah, I didn't know that. That's so cool. Now, there are other cultural influences as well, and I knew this part of it. Now, did you, though? The date coincided with the winter solstice and pagan festivals celebrating the Roman god Saturnalia. Having the celebration on December 5th provided a Christian alternative to those celebrations. And that's pretty cool, right? Something alternative, like Halloween and harvest festivals. I enjoy that there's alternatives for Christian-type focus festivals, because we don't want to really participate in those other things, But I also like the fact that we have freedom of choice, man. And now the negative side of it is we got to start thinking stuff of our ourselves, get stuff of our own. But I actually like the fact that we do have alternatives, right? So Christmas kind of followed that tradition that the Romans had, and now, though, the cool thing is, though, like he says in his article here, the cool thing is that December 25th is known throughout the world, not about the Roman pagan, god Saturnalia and that celebration. December 25th is known around the world of the birth of the Son of God, and that's cool. That's awesome. So that's an encouraging thought. All right, so that's number 1. Now, number 2, how did Christmas trees become a thing? So Eric says that Christmas trees were actually evergreen branches have been used in celebrations and seasonal decorations since ancient times. Now, they're a part of the pagan winter solstice activities for the Romans again. And then the Northern Europeans would cut down whole evergreen trees and put them in boxes inside their houses. So because of the cold, that comes from winter over there, evergreen trees symbolize life and vitality. And then in the 1500s, evergreen trees began to be associated with Christmas. Now, most historians believe this shift happened as a result of medieval plays that started to become part of church worship, doing plays and stuff. And then these plays used to celebrate the Nativity, and it would incorporate these paradise trees, quote unquote, to depict the Garden of Eden. Partly because Christmas Eve was also considered the feast day of Adam and Eve. So, again, the paradise trees were kind of part of that. Now, I guess these plays were, more than just festive because they started to get real rowdy, and then the local governments kind of shut them down. And as a result, the people had to set up these paradise trees in their own homes. And that's kind of how the tradition started and stuck, right? So that's pretty cool. All right, number 3, the third nugget that Eric talked about here in his article is, who was St. Nicholas? And, there's stories and legends and stuff of Santa Claus, but actually there was a true St. Nicholas. Now, I knew this part. This was kind of my 1.5 that I knew about. So St. Nicholas actually existed. He was a saint. He was a fourth century church leader, Christian church leader in modern day Turkey. Okay. And his name was Nicholas. And he was famously generous, especially to children. And he was a bishop in Myra. And he would put gifts for the needy on ships that would sail around the Mediterranean. And legend has it he was actually a little bit of a fighter here. He says in his article that at an important church leader gathering in 325 AD in Nicaea, Nicholas punched Arius, another church leader who was teaching that Jesus wasn't divine. Whoa, some righteous anger, right? So, anyways, he was passionate about Jesus. So this strong, generous man of great conviction left a massive legacy that kind of turned into Santa Claus. But there was an actual St. Nicholas, which is cool. But no matter how you feel about Santa Claus today, St. Nicholas, started true, a part of history as someone worth remembering and admiring, and he was a follower of Christ. And he lived and gave and loved Jesus with all his heart. So that's pretty cool. Right? Okay, so those are the 3 nuggets. Let's move on to the Minty hook. Now, the Minty hook is coming from another article written by Hope Bollinger from Christianity.com. Her article is entitled, "Is There Spiritual Meaning to the Candy Cane?" Well, actually, there is some connection to it, but not a lot. But candy canes appeared in 1670, she says. Legend has it that in 1670, the cane-shaped candy cane became historical when a choir master at the Cologne Cathedral in Germany bent the sugar sticks into canes to appear as shepherd hooks. So there was a little bit of connection there, right? But most historians say that the legend doesn't really tie the candy cane to Christianity. There's not enough proof of that. Okay, so now we talk about the symbolism. Even though there's no real connection to Christianity, the Christians have symbolized the candy cane because of its colors, right? So white in the Bible typically symbolizes purity, and red typically symbolizes Jesus' blood that he shed on the cross. And then finally, green, they say, connects with hyssop, which Israelites used to spread blood on their doorposts during the Passover. Okay, well, there you go. There is the 3 Christmas nuggets and a Minty hook. I hope you enjoyed the information. I hope you pass it on. I hope you listen again. Either way, I really appreciate you coming and listening out to this Christmas broadcast. My name is Clint Armitage. This is the Liberty Podcast. I hope to see you again, hear you again, talk to you again, have you listen again. Come on back, okay? We'll talk next time. Take care. God bless you.
Our soldiers died for your freedom. God gave us all rights and never leave them. It's time to step up for your freedom. So rally up now, this is America. Our soldiers died for your freedom.
joining us for another episode of the Liberty Podcast with Clint Armitage. If you want to get in touch, email us at info@clintarmitage.com.